I can't wear a Seals jersey either. If I wear a Seals jersey, well, you can't wear a Seals jersey with the North Stars hat. They're both yellow and green.
But they're different.
They're both yellow and green.
Shannon.
It's fine.
They don't go.
She informs me that you guys need a bedtime story.
Yes.
Since it's been over a week, and even though I've inundated you with videos, that the sound wasn't good on the other ones. I understand, and I'm sorry. I don't have a way to fix it once they're already uploaded, and reshooting videos, I've done it before, and I could see myself doing it again, or at the very least, just, make sure that I've got everything fixed. This is the 5-minute hockey stories. Now, I want to just give a little bit of background for people who may be new to the channel. For a while now, there's been certain subscribers on this channel who call me Dad. It's a long story, and I'm not getting into it right now. But at some point it became, we need a bedtime story, because I would do live streams until late at night, and they'd be like, well, we need a bedtime story before bed, which my wife fed into. Yep. You should give them a bedtime story, she would say. They deserve a bedtime story. So when we went to Kohl's and found this book, she informed me that was for bedtime stories.
Yep.
And I had to buy it.
Yep.
And even though at the time we were kind of broke, I had to have this. Because, Shannon,
Perfect.
It's perfect for your channel. So that's why I do this. So anybody goes, well, that's weird. It's sort of one of those things that's evolved over time and it's got out of control. I blame Sean Avery.
Yes.
And I don't even know if I mean the Sean Avery subscriber to this channel or the real Sean Avery. Because I can blame him for everything. So tonight, the crazy adventures of the Stanley Cup. And I do not pre-read these before I tell you guys these stories. Okay? Don't you think it would be great to be the Stanley Cup? If you were the Stanley Cup, you'd be one of the most famous trophies in the world. You'd be loved by millions. You'd be right there in the rink watching every NHL championship game. After the deciding game was over, the best players in the world would hold you over their heads and skate around the ice with you. After all kissing you. That's the part that the book's not talking about. And this is kind of a fun little picture they got in here.
Oh.
Stanley Cup running around. And then you'd travel all around the globe, spending a day at the home of each winning player. What could be more fun than hanging out with the best hockey players in the world? Well, not so fast. Sure, the Stanley Cup is the world's most adored trophy, but it's had some rough travels, and some crazy ones too. There's the next page. Going home with the winning players hasn't always been so easy for the poor Stanley Cup. Detroit Red Wings player Red Kelly decided to sit his small baby inside the cup. It would have made a cute picture, except nobody told the baby how important the cup was, and the little guy peed in it. Perhaps Carolina Hurricanes player Doug Weight didn't know this. The day he had the trophy, he made a huge ice cream sundae and then let his family eat it right out of the cup. Another player drank soup out of it. One player gave his dog supper in the trophy. Another let a horse eat from it. Yeah. But if you were the cup, you would have faced real danger too. In 1962, at a victory celebration for the Toronto Maple Leafs, the cup somehow got tossed into a bonfire. The Leafs players had to pay to repair the scorched trophy. The Maple Leafs threw the trophy into the fire. And you wonder why you haven't won a championship in 50 years. Shame on you guys.
That's funny.
The Stanley Cup has also had some watery adventures. In 1991, Pittsburgh Penguin Phil Bourque jumped into Mario Lemieux's swimming pool with the trophy. And in 1993, Lord Stanley's Cup took a dip in the pool of Montreal Canadiens goalie Patrick Roy. I thought it was Guy Carbonneau threw it in the pool, and it got dinged. From the story as I remember it was that the Carbonneau threw it, it didn't quite make it into the pool, hit the side of the pool, and it got dinged. Clearly the Stanley Cup has sometimes had a little too much attention, but it has also had too little. In the offseason of 1984, two Edmonton Oilers decided to take the cup with them when they went out for the evening, but one of the players had a new car. He thought the big trophy might damage the leather seat, so he threw the Stanley Cup into the trunk. The players could hear the cup banging and rattling around back there as they drove around town. Worse yet, in 1924, Montreal Canadiens players put the cup by the side of the road while they changed a flat tire in their car. Then the players took off, headed for a post-win celebration. When they got to the party, they realized they'd forgotten one of the important guests. They drove back, and there was the Stanley Cup all alone, still sitting on the side of the road. And in 1907, the Montreal Wanderers had their photo taken with the cup and then forgot it in the home of the photographer. When the family finally went back a few weeks later, the photographer's mother had planted flowers in it. These are all true stories.
That's so funny.
So the poor Stanley Cup has had some interesting travels, but most of the time it gets treated well. If you were the Stanley Cup, you would have even hung out with soldiers. From 2007 to 2010, the Stanley Cup made 4 trips across the ocean to cheer up Canadian troops. And there's the troops. Now I'm showing pictures to everybody, too. I don't remember doing that necessarily in the first one. 2 babies have been baptized in it. It's been taken mountain climbing. It's floated in a canoe on a fishing trip. And it's been flown up to the top of the Rocky Mountains. In fact, when Boston Bruins manager Milt Schmidt had the cup at his home in 1970, he and his wife were so worried about how to keep it safe that at night they would put it in an old baby crib they still had in their house. When the keeper of the cup takes the trophy to the championship game and then escorts it from player to player, he wears white gloves when picking it up and always sets it down on a clean white cloth. And when it's finished its travels, it goes to the Hockey Hall of Fame, where millions of viewers come to admire it. And that's in Toronto. And there you go. That's the story. The Chronicles of the Stanley Cup. So there are also instances where it's been taken to a bar and left there. Teams will go out and party with the cup, and then they leave and realize they left the cup behind. There's other stories that I don't think are family friendly that book may have forgotten. The bar one, maybe that's not family friendly, but I'm sure you guys have stories of your own too. The Stanley Cup has definitely had a lot of adventures. I'm still thinking it's Guy Carbonneau that threw that thing. I'm pretty sure it was him, because he dinged the cup and then you have to pay to fix it when you dent it like that. Peter Pocklington famously had his kid's name put on there, who had nothing to do with the team. So the NHL found out and they crossed it out with a bunch of X's. The interesting thing is they had to recreate that panel, and when they recreated the panel, they recreated the name with the X's over the top as well, because it's part of history. So, another reason for Oilers fans to hate Pocklington, I guess? I don't know. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. I hope everybody has a good night's sleep tonight. I'm sorry that I'm posting this so late for people on the East Coast. You guys were already in bed, and you're probably yelling at your phone for waking you up. If you've got notifications turned on. And, peace to you people, and everybody have a good night. I will talk to you again soon. And there you go. So there ends another bedtime story from the Hockey Guy. Good night.